Welcome back to the VR workshop. Today, it's all about ventilation, specifically Naca ducts. With clean air coming into the side of the bike, if we still keep the original under tray, the back end of it was open, so air coming up the underside of it, or rather, I should go that way. Air coming up the underside of it could then be ducted underneath to the intercooler and the radiator. We are now going to change that and extend it. So we're going to cover everything that's coming underneath, forcing all the air through all the three coolers, through the Naca ducts on both sides. So it will always be clean air coming through. Now the top of the bike as well, through here we will have a certain amount of clean air coming as well. But the key point, it's going to be clean, non-salty air to minimise the damage and make sure we get enough cooling over all the fins. So, first thing we need to do is transfer all the holes from this full panel onto the new panel, and then also transfer the cutouts where they got the knee points. So let's get started with that. So, I may have cocked up. These panels were based on the Mark II design of this Naca duct, which we don't have yet. Sitting in between the frame rails to make sure the flange was going to be there. Transferred it to the model and then made out the panels. Now we've got the panels back. I was looking at them in the flesh, and what we didn't take into consideration on the model, this knee brace is on the model, but it's not accurate. It was an afterthought just to give us an idea where it went. And now that when you look at the panel, the distance between the knee brace and where the Naca duct goes is too close. Bearing in mind that you're going to have a flange over the front of it, so that doesn't work. Measure once, cut twice, I think is the phrase. So what we're going to do is, it's currently Sunday for those who are interested. Everything's closed. It's also Ramadan, so hours of work are reduced, so it's not so easy getting these panels made in the timeline that I want. So I'm going to cut the holes in the original panels just to verify the new measurement locations. I've already updated the model for it, but because we've got a bit of time, we'll cut them out of here, we'll test it on just so we're 100% sure that we're happy where they are before we cut panels again. So let's get on with that. is going to work. What we've done is just raise it up about 10-15 mm from my original measurement. It gives us enough material here around the knee brace to give us support, and it still fits, the flange fits in between the frame rails, so that will work. This one will probably be ducted around the side of the oil cooler into the intercooler and then the radiator, whereas the other one on the other side, which sits here, that will be ducted directly into the oil cooler to make sure that gets cooled. So we will go back to the model, move the parts, get another bit of steel cut this week, and we'll start again. That said, we're still waiting on the 3D printed Naca ducts to come, so it's not all wasted effort. One thing that we did measure right was the under tray for the bike. The original under tray used to sit at the very back of the internal space of the bike, and air used to come up from the bottom of the bike here into the intercooler and through the radiator. What we've done now is we've boxed in this area completely, so all the clean air is coming through the Naca ducts down the side, which should hopefully force more air through the intercooler and the radiator. We're picking up the original mounts for the original under tray, but the back part does another mount. Rather than weld tabs onto the frame and then have the problem of trying to protect the steel underneath the powder coat, all we're going to do is just use a little clamp. I believe this was used for electrical conduit. It's cheap and nasty, but we'll drill it out, we'll put some riv nuts on it, we'll put it on that bar there, and we'll call it good. It's going to last 4 days. That little clamp will do the job. It's a bit rough already, but it's going to keep everything supported at the back end here. Perfect. On to the next job. Like everything else in this project, we seem to resolve one problem, and that creates another. We have the new mudguard back and now fitted. The guys at Seb Sports did a fantastic job in painting it, just like they did the last one. The regulations state that we should be able to see 210 degrees with the fender fitted. Now, the fender's cut right here and here, so it is a true 210 degrees. That's why the fender was made to the length it is. Where the regulations get a bit vague is, does that constitute as a fender? Because realistically, you can't see the wheel. So, cut a groove out to see the wheel. And I'm still a bit on the fence if that is a grey area in the regs or not, so I'm going to tidy this up, probably chop it a bit closer to the mounts so you can physically see the wheel, so there can be no arguments from tech inspections that we can, other than the frame itself, but that's the design of the bike, you will have a 210 degree vision of the wheel. Then it's going to throw up another problem. We'll get to that later. So let's trim this first. I'm not convinced. It just looks wrong. Let's try something else. I think we found a solution. The line is a rough cut. The final one will be further up to hide this mount. I was trying to keep the cut as far back as possible, but there's enough vision in there that you can see the rest of the wheel, that it's exposed as what the regulations are looking for. The next mounts are sitting way back here somewhere, and that just takes way too much of the body panel, and I really don't want to be taking off the powder coat and welding onto it, because I'm looking at the longevity of this frame, because it's quite possible that it could be repurposed for something else after this year. Keeping options open. Now that this is complete, we need to go back and look at the tank protector, and I suspect that's going to change now as well. Our Naca ducts are complete. I'm sure you agree that they look really good. Special thanks to Dean for printing them out and designing them so there was no real lip between the panel and the Naca duct. It turned out really good. This one, we'll put a duct on it, and we'll duct clean air to the intercooler and then the radiator. And the other side, we'll probably end up putting a duct on there as well. It's just so we can position the clean air directly in front of the oil cooler as opposed to the general area. But it's nice to see them fitted. We do have a working solution for the tank protector at the front end. It's not going to be as elegant as we planned, but probably leave that for the next video, along with putting all the new parts from powder coat back in there, which is a milestone because that means we're building up towards the finish. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. Send us messages, send us comments. We're happy to answer any of the random questions that you have. And until the next time, thank you.